A white guy phoned me telling me that my daughter broke down just outside the door of the NSFAS office in Cape Town. Do you know why? And when she told them that she needed assistance with getting an NSFAS, they all started laughing. That's what she told me. She don't know Xhosa. I know Xhosa. And they started speaking in Xhosa. And then one of the ladies told her in English, that's what she said. We do not know why you people still come here, and ask for assistance. This is our government, and you've had your time. That's why you can afford a phone like that. This is a girl that does not have a racist bone in her body. Her father's brought her up like that. You understand?
So she was just exposed to racism for the first time.
Racism in its worst form. And she suffered an anxiety attack that the guy outside the office had to come, to come assist and help her. There's cracks, and it's growing bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. A little piece of history. As I normally ask people, was the African National Congress originally formed or named the African National Congress? And every comrade will jump up and say, yeah, 1923. So I said, what happened before 1923? It was called the Bantu National Congress. And the term Bantu in apartheid years meant blacks in particular. It never included colored people, never included the Aboriginals of this country, never included Indians.
That people still don't know. Like Tony Leon's father, how racist these people are, and the reason why they formed this political party as the DA, and then continue to tell colored people, the blacks is gonna do this, the blacks is gonna take over, and then getting into government, and then saying colored people are not fit for management.
So now you can imagine when you've got this white neoliberal parties.
That's what I'm saying.
From the one side,
pushing from this side,
this
and
party
this
telling
pushing
you that blacks in particular, and our people is right
stuck in the middle.
So it's all this squashing and squeezing. But the more exposure is happening, through guys like you, exposing these corrupt and fraudulent and racist tendencies and ways they go about doing things. We will never use the term coloreds in particular. Because a black person marrying with a white person, Siya Kolisi's kids, I'm sure they get classified as colored. Not as black, not as white. So it's a very heinous term.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. We are still in the community or region of Saldanha Bay, and today I am joined by a Norman, known as a community activist, a comrade, somebody that has fought the long fight for the freedom that we have today. Uncle Norman, good to have you on the platform. I welcome you. For the viewers out there, that you just want to give us a brief introduction about yourself, and then once again, just thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for this opportunity. As men, we don't hide our age. So I turned 56 in July.
Serious?
Yeah.
You're looking good. You must tell me what you're using for that.
I'm actually born and bred in Menenberg.
Okay.
So formed part of the 1977, 78, those struggles we faced in Cape Town. At that stage in time, as everybody knows, there weren't like a lot of African blacks. Cape Town weren't so much clogged with a lot of African blacks, so we were mostly colored people. So I grew up in a gang-ridden territory. I know everything from shielding yourself with those old-fashioned iron lids of the iron fillers drummer, as we used to call them when you walk to school, and also being taunted and threatened by gang members to join the gangs. I know all of that. We moved here. Primary school I did at Phoenix, my high school, Phoenix High School. When it opened, I was one of the first students there, Phoenix High School in Menenberg. Then my mom relocated here in the early 80s because she was a fruit vendor, and I took her various places. So we basically relocated here. I finished school at Deersville High School in Saldanha Bay. 1986, 85 in the West Coast was the whole West Coast, basically the West Coast was in turmoil because students started rising up. We had famous schools like the Western High School, Deersville High School that got together and fought the oppression, of the apartheid regime, where people just became hurtful. And those blacks that lived within the West Coast at that stage in time were people that were born here, so there were no differentiation between race. You understand? Problems started arising within the West Coast when people from the Eastern Cape started coming. I know this might sound very, it might have a racial undertone, but as you asked about where I come from in the history, so things started changing. I got married, moved back to Menenberg, lived there a couple of years, and I then just returned back to Vredenburg about 18 years ago. I think my daughter, she was just born, moved back to Vredenburg. And ever since that time, I've been involved in this community. Shortly also, I come from a long line of a lineage of family activists in my family. My mom was and still, I believe still is very, very, very active in the ANC Women's League. My sister was ward councillor for one of the biggest wards, biggest black wards, I would call it, Ward 9, which is George Carriage, for I think 2-3 consecutive terms. She then rose through the ranks. She became Speaker of this municipality, all under the auspices of the African National Congress. She then, her husband became mayor. And politics is a dirty game, and I think at a certain stage in her life, she just decided that it's not what it is anymore.
I hear you. No, I totally understand, and I think there's a lot of our people that has a similar story, to tell. But just from 18 years ago until now, how did Saldanha Bay change? I know there's a lot that has changed in this region, But for you, did it get better, or did we go down, and then just where did we go wrong according to how you understand it?
To be honest, if it went any better, I most probably would have sat with a pair of pointed shoes with gold tips on it. And gold L-shaped whatever teeth in my mouth. My kids would have all had schooling. I've got how many? 3 dropouts, from high school. There's more drugs in this community. This ward that we are sitting in is quickly, very, very quickly becoming, if not already, the ward with the highest crime rate within the Saldanha Bay Municipal District. Our people is neglected. Our people is neglected. It is better nowadays within this region to be classified as a black African than it is as a colored, because there is no voice for the coloreds here. There's up until the National Colored Congress came out. Started becoming prominent and started placing deep-rooted footsteps within our communities around here. Things changed, Now people has got somebody to go to, some place to go to for assistance, for help, because their voices don't get heard. So it has changed from bad to worse. It's not just a matter of opinion, but it's experience. You can just take a walk down the street here and speak to the first 3-4 people you get along the road and ask them, and then they will be telling you the same thing as I tell you. Gangsterism is arrived, drugs is arrived, unemployment rate is sky high in this area. I think Witteklip has got a 70-75% unemployment rate. School dropouts, as I told you, there's no future. There's no future for people. So things has just gone backwards, and that is the truth.
So tell me, where did it start for you? When I hear you speaking about coming out of the ranks of the ANC and being a freedom fighter during very, very important times of our country in itself. But where was the turning point for you, to say that, nah, this is my new political home as a member of the National Colored Congress?
I'm really so happy you're asking me that question. Many people has asked it already, and I'm going to answer you the same way as I answered them. There's a phrase that is often used, something that was said by the late Tatu Madiba Nelson, Rolihlahla Madiba Mandela, and it was very strong words. To quote him, he said that if this ANC one day does to you
what the apartheid government
did, then you do
the
to
same.
the ANC exactly what you did to the apartheid government. There's another one where one of our most prominent religious or spiritual political leaders, the late Bishop Desmond Tutu. Said, that was turning points in my life when I started weighing up the scales and checking, is this party really representative of the whole of South Africa? Excuse me.
No, it's fine.
Is it representative of the demographics of our regions, our areas, and our countries? And my personal experience within the ranks of the ANC just continuously left a bad aftertaste in my mouth. I can go on and on and on and on and on. There's certain phrases that I say was born within the ranks of the ANC. And one of the most prominent ones, is the term tribalism.
Tribalism,
Yeah.
With that.
As I had a debate with a person now the other day, I told him, look, Coloureds is not a tribe. Coloureds is part and parcel of many tribes of the indigenous, the first people, especially of the Western Cape. So, it is where people were left behind. It's where we were overlooked. It's still a type and a form of oppression that we experience today. And it is more rife within the ranks of the ANC than in any other political party. Somebody once said, once we were not white enough for the apartheid government, now we're not black enough for the existing government. And that is God's honest truth. So, how did I come across the National Colored Congress? Not a party that were well known within this community, but the small little things, the small little steps that were taken, the little drops in the ocean made the bucket fill up. You understand? Programs that were run here feeding hungry people. A councillor, Councillor Yumna Jackson, that is so active within this community and within the administration of this municipality. Without a doubt, that people from all over, Citrusdal, wherever you go along the west coast, would say that is the most, it's the councillor with the most impactful things that she brings to this municipality.
And I've seen, yeah.
And this administration admits it. You understand? So that is things that has drawn me. It's a home of activists. It's a home. It's a place where what is said is what is done. With no strings attached to it. Looking across color borders. National Colored Congress in Cape Town, people will very quickly say, oh, they're only here just for coloreds. But here, the inroads that was made, and that drew me. That there were no color boundaries here or racial boundaries here. So the National Colored Congress, irrespective, just to make an example, there are more black people who gets equipped or blessed now with electricity in their houses, with running water, with job opportunities, then there is then coloreds. So that is little things that drew me, the genuineness, the love, the togetherness, the familyness. It was more of a family care movement than it was than it is of a political organization. So yeah, that's part and parcel of the.
No,
little
look,
things
that's beautiful, and I mean, I share the same sentiment because I've said to many people before is that some of you, or there's people out there that want to push the narrative that the National Colored Congress is a racist organization, you know, it's only speaking on behalf of coloreds. But when they actually dig into the Constitution, they would see and read that it speaks about the marginalized, you know, and it speaks about every group that is marginalized. But fighting for colored people in particular, you know, is the important thing, so that we can reach equality. It's not about wanting to have more than any other racial group. It's simply just saying that if you're giving us bread, you're going to give each one of us one slice. You're not going to give me a slice and then you're going to give the other one 4 and the other one 5 slices and 6 slices based off the color of their skin, you know. And so I think it's a really important thing that we need to look at, especially the people out there. And I always say to them, if you're not clued up or you're not sure about something, do the necessary research that you need to do so that you can have the right information about, especially about this organization. Because I remember when we started, it was really just like, I can't even put it into words, but it was just amazing. Everything just felt right. Like whatever we did was just, it felt right. And the outcomes of that, now having businesses saying, you know what, like for example with me, I'm not going to mention a name of this business. So I think it was about 2 weeks ago, I went to this agency, in fact, and when I got to the offices, the one lady could identify me like, hey, Isai Bravan NCC, and it was a beautiful feeling, like, yo, the people actually know. And then she was like, yo, because I took 60 CVs and it was all matriculants, and at our office, the one in Cape Town, obviously, we make sure that our people have the right documentation, because previously people didn't have the right documentation, like they didn't have their SARS, for example, they didn't have like a certified copy of the ID, you know, and this basically, according to the way they say it, is that the CV is incomplete and they chuck it in the bin. That is one of the excuses that they give. So we said, okay, fine, this time around, we'll then inform our people to have all the documentation, and then there should not be a reason for you to throw the CV or put the CV aside. So everything was in place, and this lady said to me, oh, this is gold, you know that? And I said, what do you mean? He said, no. She said, no, because the thing is this, we don't receive the CVs on our end, and we're looking at colored people because the impact that you guys had forced us to push for a 50-50, you know, across the border. You know, so currently, they had, at the time, they had about 80% only Black African, you know, and then now us bringing in CVs, pushing in CVs, means that we are bringing that balance closer, you know. And when I hear that, and I'm like, okay, so you guys are actually taking note of what's happening, you know. And same applies with other businesses that's now calling us saying we need CVs, you know, and then we'll have the CVs ready for them. So the impact is there. Both in our local communities, and I think it really just replicated across South Africa, because the stigma that is happening to us as colored people is not just happening in one community. We've seen it happening out in Gauteng. I mean, we've got our activists, our people, members that are actively working in Gauteng. You know, they are actively working in the Northern Cape and those areas where our people are currently at. And so I think when we continue, you know, to stay committed to the cause and why we are here, you know, I think we can reach greater things, better things. And then, so Akanoman, it was great to chat to you, but just before we close off, do you have a message for our people out there that are still blinded by these other political parties that's been governing for so many years? with a lot to say but less to do, you know. So if this perhaps is the message for the viewers and those that are out there, you know.
Yeah, thank you so much. As I've said before, it's a home. The National Colored Congress is a home where we say what we do and do what we say, plain and simple. So when we say that we are not just here for the betterment of the colored people, but for each and every South African as a whole, you know, prioritizing the colored people because we were the ones left behind, then we do mean it. We live here by a policy that we don't make promises. You know, we do what we say. My encouragement to everyone is, you know, we've got the local government elections coming up in 2026. You're going to have make your cross again. You know what the DSID has delivered to you. You know what 30 years of an ANC rule has done to you. I'm not going to speak of the other political parties. So now is the time for our people to make a choice. Colored, black, white, Indian, it does not matter who you are. You know, the National Colored Congress is your home. First, we want to take over administrations, municipal administrations, so our people's lives can be bettered. When we say our people's lives, we talk of the Rainbow Nation. So my encouragement is come 2026, make sure that you make your cross next to the National Colored Congress in the local government elections. Make sure, because we will put forward candidates to you, you know, people of virtue, you know, people with ethics, with morals, and that will never turn their back on you. Thank you.
Just, I actually forgot about one thing. Maybe perhaps this is just off the record. There's something in the ANC's
Constitution.
thing is in the constitution that speaks about black African in particular. How according to you personally, how does it make you feel, and how do you understand it? Because it says that it mentions the other races, but then it says black African in particular. I think that is something that many of our people don't know about, because...
Do you know, I'm happy you're asking that. I think yesterday or today's news, there's this guy that has defected from the ANC. Resigned from the ANC, and he actually defected to the MK party. And he said that everything the MK party stands for resonates with these ideologies and blah, 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 blah. And he said the MK there is for everybody, but he then used the term, now this is a prominent figure, this was a prominent figure within the ANC that has now become a provincial leader of the MK party. And he said, but blacks in particular. I've always had a problem with that. And I believe that with the National Colored Congress in government, the very first thing that we will do will be basically to abolish these racial classifications. You understand? Because there are just too many policies that promotes racism, but in a disguise. Within the ANC, there's a lot of policy that promotes tribalism, but in disguise. So it borders more on hate speech when you start saying blacks in particular. That's the difference between the National Colored Congress and other political parties. You understand? We say that we are a party for all people, you understand? But we want to bring the colored people up to that platform, that level, you know, where others all are, so we can be equal. We will never use the term coloreds in particular. Because you know, a black person marrying with a white person, Siyakolisi's kids, I'm sure they get classified as colored. You know, not as black, not as white. So yeah, it's a very heinous term. It's a statement that continuously gets made, and I don't think that even the GNU realize how much damage they are causing and divisions they are causing by continuously mentioning blacks in particular, you know, triple BEE and all the other things.
That's a good point to touch upon, and it's one of the questions that I forgot. Just briefly, your take on the GNU.
Oh,
Do you
yes.
think this thing will last? Is it
Oh,
something
my
that,
God.
that can give our people hope?
Oh man, I just followed the thingy between Alan Ziller and what's his name?
Fikile.
This Fikile
Fikile Mbalula.
Balula,
I've been watching that. It's
there's
crazy.
cracks,
Yeah.
and it's growing bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. You know, a little piece of history. As I normally ask people, was the African National Congress originally formed or named the African National Congress, and every comrade will jump up and say, yeah, 1923. So I said, what happened before 1923? It was called the Bantu National Congress. And the term Bantu in apartheid years meant blacks in particular. It never included colored people, never included the aboriginals of this country, never included Indians. You understand? 1923 only, it changed because they started realizing we need to work forward and we need to draw these people because their votes is going to be needed the day when we go to a democratic government, and then we have to get this majority rule thing going. So they changed it to the African National Congress. And as I'm saying, with Madiba, Thabo Mbeki, Oliver Tambo, and those guys, there was an ANC that everybody believed in. There was an ANC that everybody felt it's our home, it's for our people. Ek het 'n klip gegooi. Ek het scars op my body van rubber bullets.
Ja.
You know, during apartheid years, wat also hard voor gefight het. And then our people were just ignored, neglected, you know, over the last 30 years. So, yeah, the term blacks in particular is a...
There was one thing that actually just really opened up my mind so much. Is the day when we were at an event at the museum, and Alan Bushak was there, and we had this conversation about Aboriginal, who is Aboriginal, what is Aboriginal, and this whole thing about differentiating between colored and black, and having to, you know, because there are some communities that has been living, as you said, for many years, and there was never a thing us and them, you know.
Yes.
And this thing was then encouraged. I don't know how, I can't say how, but it just became like a virus. She's a clean, like a small wound that was never cured, you know, and it became worse and worse by the day. But Alan Bushak said something. He said that when the UDF?
UDF, yes.
When the UDF joined the ANC, it was because they became together.
Exactly.
Apparently at the time, everything aligned and everything made sense, you know, and the two joined, and there are the other reasons why they joined. But he says that after everything, he was then called a colored hero. And he asked, but why am I being called now a colored hero and not a comrade, or the way we've been treating each other the whole time? Because apparently, I wasn't there, but apparently our people all believe that we are all black.
Yes.
Until that new government came in.
Exactly.
And they enforced the classification as colored, because today, when we go to apply for our ID, you go apply for a loan, you go to any government institution, you need to tick a box.
You still get that
classification. You still tick that box. So my question then was that this problem is currently lying with government. Exactly. Because government allow the classification, they allow us to box ourselves into that system, you know, to call ourselves colored. And when we do identify or rise up as a colored community the way we are now, then we're being called, but why you guys want to? But then when we're going to Home Affairs or anywhere else, we are ticking a box.
Let me give you a literal example of my daughter finished school about 3 years ago. She's a third year student at University of Western Cape. We know NSFAS, student, what you call it, you know. We struggled trying to get her a bursary. And then one day we told her, listen, just go to Cape Town, to the head office of NSFAS. People will help you there. She was not even barely there an hour. My daughter, a white guy phoned me telling me that my daughter broke down just outside the door of the NSFAS office in Cape Town. Do you know why? When she came inside, she had a Samsung S26, right? That we bought for her. When she came inside, there were a lot of black, and I'm going to say, as they say, black in particular, as hateful as that thing is to say, a lot of blacks in particular filled the office, right? And when she told them that she needed assistance with getting an NSFAS, they all started laughing. That's what she told me. She don't know Xhosa. I know Xhosa. And they started speaking in Xhosa. And then one of the ladies told her in English, that's what she said, we do not know why you people still come here, and ask for assistance. This is our government, and you've had your time. That's how you can afford a phone like that. This is a girl that does not have a racist bone in her body. Her father's brought her up like that. You understand?
So she was just exposed to racism for the first time.
In its worst form. And she suffered an anxiety attack that the guy outside the office had to come, to come assist and help her. So that is what it has brought us to. We're talking a lot of the ANC. I know we much into your time, but we talk a lot of the ANC. But the DA ran administrations is
I was gonna just mention something like that, because I remember like Alan Zilla at the time coming out speaking about the SWAT gevaar, speaking about this, and that divide and rule thing was basically coming into play, coming from their side. When we look at it, I think people don't understand how the DA, how they gave birth to the DA, because people don't know Tony Leon.
Yes.
People don't know who's the father of, who's Tony Leon's father.
Yes.
Which was part of the apartheid government at the time, because according to how I understand it, when this new government took over, part of the National Party formed part of the ANC, if I'm not mistaken, like a coalition, or this GNU. Yes, and they joined in, and those that didn't want to, like Tony Leon's father, then went on and started, I think it was the Democratic Party at the time, the DP, before it became the DA.
Yes.
So that people still don't know, like Tony Leon's father, how racist these people are, and the reason why they formed this political party as the DA, and then continue to tell colored people, yeah, the blacks is gonna do this, the blacks is gonna take over, and then getting into government and then saying colored people are not fit for management.
So now you can imagine when you've got this white neoliberal party,
that's what I'm saying.
From the one
yes, that's
side,
pushing from this side, and this
telling
pushing
you that blacks in particular, and now people is right
stuck in the middle.
So it's all this squashing and squeezing, but the more exposures happening, through guys like you, exposing these corrupt and fraudulent and racist tendencies and ways they go about doing things. Just now, yesterday there was a council meeting. I almost said a Moorse ding, a world-class school is going to be built in one of the richest areas of the Saldanha municipality in St. Helena Bay. They posted photos of what the school was going to look like. If you just drive down here now to Lowville, we've got a primary school there. A primary school that was supposed to be expanded and made so beautiful for our kids. It's in a predominantly colored suburb. It has turned into a school for ghosts.
Yeah.
If you drive down there now, you will see die bome, die blare groei so groot. We were in the offices. There's no windows. There's no nothing. The money has just disappeared. Now this administration will very quickly tell you, oh, but it's a national provincial government thing when it comes to education.
They're always shifting the blame.
But yesterday they took all the shine for this beautiful school that's going to be built in one of our upmarket areas. It's those type of things that our people need to expose to let other people, some of us come to our senses and understand. Our vote, it's very, very important. When you put that X next to a political party, you are actually marking the others wrong, so we must use it. We must use it.
Now, I agree with you, and I can hear you. I honestly, I feel you, and I can see that you are very much into wanting to fight for equality, but also saying, guys, that we need integration. You know, we need to integrate and perhaps just teach our kids more. I mean, I was here at the Heritage Day program that you guys had in Saldanha Bay.
Wonderful it was.
Which was so beautiful because you integrated all the different cultures, you know, also wanting to teach our colored youth more about their culture and where they come from, you know, but also not pushing aside the isiXhosa, the Zulu, but integrating them because they were part of the program. And so I can see that you are really trying to get that up and running, to say that, you know, we want equality for all. You know, we are not saying that colored people must just be colored people. We are just saying treat colored people with respect, treat us as if we are part of society, you know. And so perhaps I've just heard that you are actually someone that does speak quite a number of languages.
Yeah.
So with that being said, perhaps can we have a message of encouragement to our let's say black brothers in particular, or isiXhosa, you know, just a beautiful message to them, you know, just to say, you know, that don't forget, we were part of the struggle as well.
Yes.
Today, we are being pushed aside, very, very much, far behind.
Yes.
Why are you guys not stepping up to assist us, especially in this province?
Exactly.
Where you know that there's no way that the ANC will ever be in power in this province.
Yes.
There's no way that even the EFF will be able to be.
Exactly.
Irrespective whether they are, how, we know how our people's minds have been programmed for so many years.
Yes.
You know, it's just that our people are so afraid of the narrative that the DA has pushed, and this is unfortunately the swart gevaar that they have pushed, you know. The divide and rule strategy that they've used. So the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Bahlali, the product yase Gugulethu dakhulela eMannenberg, isiXhosa ndandisifunde khona. Abantu bayathanda ukuqhatha, ukuntsontsa, ukusivalela amehlo, ukusixelela ukuthi i-National Coloured Congress yiparty yamakhaladi. Bangabaxoki. If baningafike lapha kule lali sikuyo thina, nizova kwabantu abamnyama indlela abancedwa ngalo. Into yethu sithina si-National Coloured Congress ukulungisa umhlaba for umuntu wonke. Asiculi i-freedom songs ye-ANC thina, siyazenza. Yindlu yomuntu wonke lena. Apha kuyathandwa, and siyakwazi ukuthanda abantu noba ungubani. Enkosi.
Thank you. I think we'll cut the interview there, but I think you also have something that you can add that will very much add so much value to the by-election that's taking place in Mannenberg, because that ward is currently being it's split. It's ward 30, right? So it's got Mannenberg, right, and a part of Gugulethu. You know, so we currently contesting in that ward now. So perhaps just a message to our brothers in Gugulethu to support Mr. Hope in that ward, because they know for themselves that the DA has that ward, that Mannenberg, for so many years. You know, the by-election is coming on the 20th of November. They understand as well that they won't win that ward. You know, but if they can put their strength behind Mr. Hope for the National Coloured Congress, then we can have a better Mannenberg. Because I mean, you are a product of Mannenberg.
That is true. That is so true.
That you are a product of Mannenberg, and I heard you mention Gugulethu in as well, which is neighboring communities. We're having currently Gugulethu and Mannenberg and Heideveld, which is sharing one police station.
I know that.
Mannenberg police station, you know, which is a lot of communities, and still having to service other communities as well. Just off the record, just a message of strength to Mr. Hope, so that we can share that with the community of Gugulethu and even in Mannenberg. Because Mannenberg is a very well integrated community, I must say.
Yes.
It's a very, very well integrated community. Definitely. We've got that lady there as well, which is full on isiXhosa, but she grew up in Mannenberg, so she understands the colored culture, you know what I mean, and how colored people have been pushed aside, because her daughters was also classified as colored, and they also had to experience the same killer that the colored people experience. But because she can speak, she sometimes gets the advantage.
I can tell you where it comes from. That's how I learned. You know, GF was the hospital. There used to be a huge dam there before the hospital. So after school, Mannenberg's kids used to go there, Fangos teppeltjies, you know. Then Gux's kids come over, play the damn fang teppeltjies. And so we started teaching each other's culture.
Yo, that's
and
beautiful.
then during the apartheid years, you know, as we grew up, some of the ones, the activists in Gugulethu, if the trails were too hot, the cops were too much in the apartheid regime, they used to come over and hide in Menenberg. And the same with Menenberg. But that's where I got my scars, you know, in Gugulethu. Because what is the color doing in Gugulethu? We used to be hidden under the beds by our closer friends' moms and dads.
Wow.
And my message to the communities down there is, I think the 25th, 27th, to somewhere along there.
20th
20th,
November.
prior to that, we're going to be going down there, we as West Coast representatives, and we're going to come join the people there. I don't need, you see, the lekker thing with Gooks people is they know English better than what I know it. So you guys know, man, you know that supporting Hope and taking Menenberg for the National Colored Congress is only gonna bring good things for Menenberg, for Heideveld, and for all the surrounding areas. I want to encourage you guys, be the trailblazers, man. We know by now already, there's no other political party that would be able to make Menenberg become a home for all other than the National Colored Congress. So support Hope. You know, support Hope. Make your X, let it be X of Hope. You know, when you go out on the day of the by-elections, and let us take it by storm. You know, and let us show them, it's a beginning point. Let us show them what true unity really means, and what it means to not leave anyone behind. So strong's that side, and keep the NCC flag flying high.
Sure. Let's put unity in community. Here we go. Thank you so much for your time and appreciate it, honestly, man. Do you just want to take a photo?
I know.